Starting off our list at number 10, the guy out of Pittsburgh, the elusive wide receiver out of Central Michigan, Antonio Brown. On the season, he had astonishing 129 catches, 1,698 yards, 13 yards per catch, 13 touchdowns, 85 first downs. That's a great fantasy season, especially in PPR scoring. Antonio Brown was number 1 in fantasy points in ESPN standard scoring. He scored 30 more points than the next place wide receiver. With Le'Veon Bell being out the first 3 games, the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to lean on him more than ever, with Antonio Brown receiving, rushing, throwing touchdowns, even returning kicks. He's going to give you a lot of fantasy points. I expect Antonio Brown to be the second wide receiver taken off the board, and definitely a great pick for wide receiver 1 on your fantasy football team.
Second and goal to go. Throws the pass. Into promised land. Touchdown.
The kid who set the NFL season and the fantasy football seasons on fire, Odell Beckham Jr. of the New York Giants. On the season, he had 91 catches, 1,305 yards, 14 yards per catch, and 12 touchdowns. In only 12 games, he was the 5th best fantasy wide receiver. Odell Beckham Jr. was only behind Randy Moss as the best fantasy season from a rookie wide receiver. This kid did everything for the New York Giants team. Every time Eli Manning dropped back, guess who he was looking for? That's right, Odell Beckham Jr. And he came down with the catch more times than not, especially the catch heard around the world. That one-handed catch against the Dallas Cowboys let the world know that he's a force to be reckoned with. I expect Odell Beckham Jr. and his whip dance to be the first wide receiver taken off the board in fantasy drafts this season. Coming in at number 8 is the 2013 rushing champ, probably one of the most shiftiest running backs in football, LeSean McCoy. He had a down season with only 5 touchdowns and 4 fumbles. The problem was the emergence of the other running back. Chris Polk vultured some touchdowns, and Darren Sproles took on a more role than people thought. McCoy was the 13th best running back in fantasy football. Some people call that a bust, but he had 1,319 yards, another 1,000-yard season for Shady McCoy, so it wasn't as bad as people thought. Down in Buffalo, only competition for LeSean is Fred Jackson. Even though Fred Jackson might take some goal line carries, Shady should be the guy. I expect him to have a bounce-back season, and I think he's worthy of a first-round pick in ESPN standard draft. The 2014 rushing champ, the guy who took his talents to Philly, DeMarco Murray. DeMarco Murray had a remarkable season with an insane amount of touches, almost getting to 400 attempts. With him joining Philly with Ryan Matthews and Darren Sproles, it's a crowded backfield, so I don't expect DeMarco Murray to get 25 touches each game like he did last season. With all this being said, DeMarco Murray has a history of being injured. This past season was really the only season he's went a whole year without being injured. With all this success, how much of it is due to the great Cowboys offensive line last year? You're going to have to ask yourself all these questions before you draft DeMarco Murray in the first round. LeSean McCoy had great success in 2013 in Chip Kelly's no-huddle up-tempo offense. I expect DeMarco Murray to do the same and continue his success as a great fantasy football running back. Matt Forte, whatever you want to call him, he comes in here at number 6. The Chicago Bears as a team struggled last year. With Brandon Marshall being gone and Alshon Jeffrey being the only target, Matt Forte should be the go-to guy for the Chicago Bears offense. He played all 16 games last year, and that resulted to the 4th best fantasy running back in ESPN standard scoring. Matt Forte is one of the best dual threats running backs in the NFL. I expect him to go the first couple picks and be helped to any fantasy football team.